Let me tell you, my friend, let me tell you something. You are a leader. Not just are a leader, you need to be a leader. Now, when it comes to the understanding of leadership, oftentimes it's always associated with people, other people. Either it's like in a managing position, directing, some kind of guide. And I do believe everybody has that capacity to do that for one another. Doesn't necessarily take a certain role, although I'm sure there's some people have this innate natural way of being able to be a leader for others in the traditional sense. But I would also say that even for those that aren't so good leading other people in that regard, like I'm sure you've led somebody else indirectly by just your example, how you carry yourself, especially if it's a positive example. You know, when someone looks to you in admiration or appreciation, that's just a result of you really tapping into your own leadership. So there's that in regards to other people. So in that way, you are a leader, regardless of how you may think about yourself. Now let's put that all aside. Now let's look at it from the perspective of you and yourself. So I'll say me and myself. Okay, I'm gonna use the I. So as a leader for myself, I need to be aware and intentionally directed with my energy, my attention, my focus. If I just let my energy go all over the place, who's leading who? If I get this impulse because of FOMO and I start scrolling on social media and doom scrolling, and feeling all this and all these emotions, and then afterwards feeling like exhausted or depleted or whatever the case may be, whatever it is, not a good feeling. Who's leading who? If someone was like, oh, you got a big old head, this big box head, you know, piece of whatever. And if I get stimulated by that, something that they said, who's leading who? So I think it's important that from that framework of attention and focus, I need to be a leader of myself. If I don't direct it towards something that's actually building me, I'm gonna it's gonna in the way of energy, understanding the law of energy, my attention is gonna go to something where it's like something else is gonna lead me. Another component to that as well of being my own leader, I need to be decisive within myself. To be decisive, I think is a very important quality to have. I think it's very dangerous to be indecisive because I've been in situations where people indirectly or the environment kind of decides for me and I just kind of like go with the flow. But in this case, going with the flow isn't actually helpful. It's actually damaging, right? Imagine just taking a canoe and you're out in Whitewater Rapids. Taking me to my college days. Shout out to Crux. But just going through, and if I'm not being directed where I'm going, all the currents of the rapids, like the energies in your environment on a day to day, whether at work, at home, or out there in the streets or wherever, right? If I'm not directed and navigating it and being intentional, being my own leader, I'll get caught. And in the instance with like whitewater rafting, you know, my safety could be compromised, could be at risk. And I would argue some of that could also, as far as the consequences, may not measure up to the same magnitude as like whitewater rafting, but there could be some really not so good consequences if I'm not in that leadership position with myself. So it's an essential thing and it's so important. So I'll bring it back to my initial statement. You are a leader and you need to be a leader for yourself at least. And when I know I can do that for myself, naturally I'll do it for other people. And I don't even have to try. I don't even have to like think about it. I don't have to consciously, like, okay, I'm gonna lead other people. Here we go. Follow me, guys. That's not necessary. So, so if you're finding yourself in situations where you're feeling stress, dis-ease, and a lot of not so good things, be a good question to ask. Who's leading who?